It's time to take a look at what's happening around Wyoming for Friday, January 24th. I'm Wendy Corr, bringing you headlines from the Cowboy State Daily newsroom, brought to you by Visit Casper. Visit Casper invites you to come enjoy the Casper International Film Festival, January 31st through February 2nd. A broad range of films from local and international filmmakers will be shown. Learn more and get your tickets at visitcasper.com. The Wyoming Freedom Caucus promised to make massive cuts to state spending when members campaigned last year. So far, the group has kept that promise, making about $195.2 million in cuts to the supplemental budget just 4 days into the 2025 session. Cowboy State Daily's Leo Wolfson reports that although Wyoming is in a relatively stable financial position, many legislators feel that the state has been spending too much money at the expense of the taxpayers.
One of the biggest cuts made on Thursday was $100 million from the governor's energy matching funds program. Representative John Baer basically said that he considers this not a natural market and something that sets up Wyoming to be indebted to the federal government. Raises for the state's school custodians was rejected as well. And then some wildfire restoration money was changed from an original proposal to be a grant program. A lot of the money was taken out of it and it was made a loan program instead.
More cuts could be yet to come as the budget still needs approval from both the full House and the Senate. A pair of bills that would make Wyoming's sheriffs partner with federal immigration agencies, whether they want to or not, are now pending in the Wyoming legislature. But Cowboy State Daily's Claire McFarland reports that even sheriffs who work well with U.S. Immigration, Customs, and Enforcement, or ICE, aren't happy about it.
They're going out of their way to strike ICE contracts that at this point they don't have to strike, or to deputize their own people for immigration investigations and to send their guys to training. And when they notice these pieces of legislation that would force them to do that, all the ones I talked to were like, whoa, what about counties that can't sacrifice 2 deputies for a 6-week training? What if in 4 years we hate the federal administration and don't want contracts? I mean, what if the contract parameters change? So they were just kind of like, even though they're all on board for enforcing immigration law in their counties, they were really not fans of this legislation.
2 county sheriffs who spoke with Cowboy State Daily also characterized the bills as overreach. If the contract bills become law as written, they could put sheriffs in a difficult position balancing state and federal funding alongside the immigration policing initiatives. Without a change in Wyoming law, people can potentially be tossed in jail for a year and fined $10,000 for trapping mice in their vehicles. That's why State Representative Bill Almond of Midwest is sponsoring House Bill 211. Cowboy State Daily's Mark Hines reports that the bill will clarify the law so people don't get arrested for things like blasting at prairie dogs from inside their trucks.
First of all, we need to clarify, it is not under any circumstances legal to shoot from a highway or from a busy public road in Wyoming. It is legal to shoot predatory animals from a vehicle. Those are things like coyotes, jackrabbits. Apparently, there's a weird loophole in the law, and this legislator brought it up because one of his constituents got nailed, or at least got a stern talking to, from shooting prairie dogs from the cab of his truck off-road on private property. This legislature took a step further and said, technically, you could get a $10,000 fine and or up to a year in jail for trapping a mouse inside your vehicle, because that is technically killing wildlife from inside a vehicle.
Many animals, such as prairie dogs and mice, don't fall under any specific classification, but are still legal to kill. So Alleman hopes that HB 211 will save people from potentially getting in trouble for shooting varmints from their trucks or trying to control vermin. Well, tensions boiled over in the Wyoming House on Thursday when a state representative blasted one of her fellow Republican members for releasing the legislative positions of some of the leading conservative organizations in Wyoming. Freedom Caucus Chair Rachel Rodriguez-Williams berated Representative J.D. Williams for what he said was an inadvertent mistake with the reply email. Cowboy State Daily's Leo Wolfson reports that Williams apologized for the mistake by email to all of the House members and requested the House Democrats delete the link to the spreadsheet, but Rodriguez-Williams said she wasn't having it.
The voting positions, although in really most regards were not surprising, they were still privately held by the organizations, and Williams inadvertently released them to the public and the House Democrats when he sent his email on Thursday morning. He apologized for the mistake 22 minutes later, but Rodriguez-Williams was not having it, stating that she did not accept his apology and that he let these grassroots organizations down.
Other Republican leaders say the purpose of the Republican House caucus is to foster better relationships in Republican ranks, which is why they found the Williams incident unfortunate. And now let's take a look at today's weather with Cowboy State Daily meteorologist Don Day.
Well, welcome to Friday. Today is going to be slightly warmer across the state, but we have another Canadian cold front that's knocking on the door. Right now, it's up into northern Wyoming, where we're getting a little bit of light snow and snow shower activity developing. We don't expect anything really heavy during the day today in the central and north, but a light dusting of snow will be possible, a cold north wind, and temperatures will be falling across the northern part of the state early in the day. Now, as the front works its way south and gets into southern Wyoming tonight and Saturday, upslope combined with a combination of cold Canadian air and a little bit of Pacific moisture means that the southern counties of the state, notably along the Interstate 80 corridor from Evanston to Cheyenne, there's going to be some snow. Light to moderate snow amounts could accumulate, especially evening, overnight, and into midday Saturday. Several inches of snow in some areas, an inch or two in others, and that snow will then spread south into northern Colorado. So there could be some tricky travel along the Interstate 80 corridor tonight and into the start of the weekend. Do be ready for chilly temperatures this weekend. More Canadian air will overflow the area. Good news, though, we may have a little respite from the cold and winter weather heading into the early to middle parts of next week, and we'll have more for you on that when we talk again on Monday.
You can get Don's full forecast on the Cowboy State Daily website. I'll be back in just 20 seconds with more news.
When we say community is the heart of Hilltop, we're talking about a team of bankers committed to improving the place we call home. A team that shows up every day to help businesses thrive and gives back to our neighbors through time, attention, and service. We're inspired by the way our bankers give back because that's one of the many qualities that makes us truly a community bank. Hilltop Bank, member FDIC, equal housing lender.
A small-town Montana church pastor was convicted last week of sexually assaulting a child and has been accused of another. Cowboy State Daily's David Madison reports that Tony Shaw, a former pastor at Ruby Valley Baptist Church in Sheridan, Montana, used self-defense karate lessons he taught to get close enough to abuse his victims. The investigation began 4 years ago, and Shaw was found guilty this week.
A citizen in Sheridan heard secondhand about an incident witnessed in the basement of the local Baptist church. That put into motion a really detailed investigation. A prominent member of the community, a local Baptist pastor, was found guilty on January 16th of sexual assault. And the MO, kind of his method of getting close to and getting physical contact with his victims, was to purportedly teach them martial arts.
Shaw now awaits a second trial because in the course of this investigation, another alleged sexual assault case involving a minor came to light. A bill that would eliminate gun-free zones in places such as the Wyoming Capitol Building, K-12 schools, and on the University of Wyoming campus easily passed the House on third reading Thursday by a 50-10 vote. Cowboy State Daily's Leah Wolfson reports that several amendments were brought up, but they were rejected.
There was also amendments brought trying to exempt daycares from it, and also an amendment brought by Representative Steve Harshman that would have clarified that 18 to 21-year-old high school students could not conceal carry their firearms to school. Those amendments were both rejected by the House.
The bill as written does exempt state agency-operated health and human service facilities. The former police chief of Manderson is accused of texting his love interest against a judge's orders after he was charged with helping her elude a drug investigation. Charged in November with police interference and duty failure, B.J. Kidgel became the subject of a new arrest warrant Thursday and was taken into custody Friday, according to Crime and Courts reporter Claire McFarland.
He was rearrested on an alleged bond violation. So the prosecutor says, whoa, he was texting this woman and the judge told him to have no contact with her. So bring him back in here and get him in court, and we'll talk about a hearing to discuss whether he violated his bond. And so they did. They arrested him Friday.
In the hearing Tuesday, Kidgell's bond was reset for $40,000 cash or surety. An evidentiary hearing on whether Kidgell violated the first bond order is set for February 5th. And the next parade every Wyomingite should put on their calendar will start just after sunset Friday and Saturday. Venus, Mars, Jupiter, Saturn, Uranus, and Neptune will all be out and visible in a planetary parade. Cowboy State Daily's Andrew Rossi reports that the planets will make an arch across the sky as seen from the surface of the Earth.
Going west to east, you'll see Saturn and Venus. If you have really good binoculars or a good telescope, you might see Uranus. You probably won't see Neptune, but they'll both be in alignment. Jupiter will be at the highest point of the sky, and then Mars will be in the eastern portion. So you want to see it after sunset because it won't be dark until after sunset. But then Saturn's going to set around 8:30.
Like any parade, there's an optimal time and place to watch. Solar system spectators will want to get to the highest spot they can between 5:10 and 8 p.m. to see all 6 planets. And that's today's news. For a deeper dive into the people and issues that affect Wyoming, check out The Roundup, conversations with the most interesting people in the Cowboy State. A new episode drops tomorrow when I have a conversation with Park County philanthropist Kyle Passwork. You can find the link on our website, on our YouTube channel, and wherever you get your podcasts. And of course, you'll find it in our free daily email newsletter. Thanks for tuning in. I'm Wendy Corr for Cowboy State Daily.